All right, let's get some of the fun stuff here. Some interesting studies that have come out that we wanted to parse through. So the first one, let's put this up on the screen, is we've been talking about the work from home revolution, the fact that there's been this huge shift towards hybrid work in particular. There's a new study, this is from McKinsey, so keep that in mind. But anyway, about who exactly prefers working from home and who actually prefers working in the office. They found that the biggest holdouts on the 5-day office week are the bosses. Nearly half of the most senior employees are holding fast to their work from home days. And they talk here about how some of the senior executives, they really see this as like a key. They've really incorporated this into their life. They're unwilling to change their habits. I frankly can't blame them if they've become accustomed to that. And they are even willing to give up additional pay in order to keep their work from home flexibility. Let me give you some of the specific numbers here. They did a survey of 13,000 office workers in 6 different countries, so this isn't just US specific. They found the largest share of employees who strongly prefer to work from home are those who earn more than 150K. That group said they were likely to quit their jobs if they were called back to the office every day, and they were willing to trade more than 20% of their compensation to work their preferred number of days at home. And it basically was the case that, as you go further down the income level and as you go down the seniority level, more junior employees were much more interested in being back in the office. And Saagar, there's a few things to say about this. The first thing that I'll say is that really is kind of logical, because if you're just starting out in your career, you're a young person, you want to be able to network, you want to be able to get to know people, you want to be able to establish yourself. Maybe you just came out of college and you're used to having this whole network of friends all around you all the time. You're more in the social network building phase of your life. It does make sense that you would be more interested in being in the office where it's easier to engage in those type of activities.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. This confirms actually something that anecdotally I've been able to pick up. I knew a lot of people who were working from home well within to 2022, not by choice. They were doing so because their bosses didn't want to go back and kept coming up with reasons like, first it was Omicron, then I forget what the next one after that one was, but they were like, oh, it's still not safe. And then it eventually turned out, though, that they didn't care about COVID because in their private lives, they were going to parties, they were traveling and all of that. They were just using it as an excuse for not wanting to be compelled to get back in the car, to arrange daycare, to arrange drop-off. And I just want to say, I totally understand and get that from their perspective. But I do think it was unfair because rather than telling the truth about the want for flexibility, they instead imposed a work from home regime on everyone. And what ended up happening is a lot of younger employees, especially people who had started their jobs remotely, really had a desire to get to know their coworkers. And I think there's 2 things, which is in an entry-level job, there are 2 things. You are learning how to be an employee, number 1, which where humans are social creatures. Like, you are learning office politics. You are learning, is the boss prickly? Is he somebody can I approach about this? Or is he somebody I kind of have to go through normal channels? Or she? I'm learning, how exactly do we have problem solving? When the bosses find a problem, who do they call in order to talk to? How do I get to know those people if I want to have some sort of advancement? And then second is socially. You really are, I went through this certainly. You're 22 years old, graduate from college, it feels very disruptive, you have no idea really what's happening, and you start out with a bunch of other people who are your age and sometimes a little bit older, and so you both form a cohort of people who you're starting out with, and then you also get to know people who are a little bit older than you, and they're like, yeah, that's what they say, but here's how it really works. And you're like, oh, okay, hey, here's how I navigated this same situation. I can't emphasize how valuable that is from really the 22 to almost 27 age. And for people I know, many whom started jobs remotely, they actually ran into problems that if they were in person, never would have been something. They violated office culture. But how are they supposed to know? They never understood office culture. They just got their stupid rule book and HR. So it's one of those where I have total sympathy. I also do want to say, for everyone who's watching this is not an issue for anybody who works in a blue-collar office. This is purely a white-collar phenomenon, which is why people spend so much time on that. So As much sympathy as I do have for these people, it is also a great problem to have because blue collar workers do not have to deal with any of what we're talking about. They're much more worried with being scheduled at 6 a.m. and then also being scheduled at midnight, like the next day afterwards.
Yes, true. Just to give you some more of the numbers to back this up. So the highest income bracket that they tested was people who are earning more than 150K. Of them, a third, 33%, say they strongly prefer to work from home versus the office. For the lowest income bracket, they tested less than 50K. It was only 9%. So 33% for the highest income said, we really want to be at home. And only 9% for the lowest income bracket said the same. By seniority level, at the senior level, 44% say they strongly prefer working from home. At the mid-level, 50% say they strongly prefer working from home. The junior level, only 6%. Wow. So this is really a big divide in terms of office culture preference. And, I think like most people at this point, they're not fully working from home. It's more of a hybrid system. They're in the office a couple days a week. They're at home a couple days a week, or like week on, week off, whatever. That's mostly what things have moved towards. That's probably, for a lot of people, a pretty decent balance and midpoint between the two preferences here. But the other thing it tells me, Saagar, we've covered a lot of what's going on in downtowns, especially in tech-heavy downtowns like San Francisco, LA, the way that the downtown life has been completely upended and a lot of vitality just completely sucked out by the change in work habits. The fact that it's the boss class that is most committed to this tells you this is not going to change.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point.
If it was the junior workers who were like, no, I really want to be at home, then that might be more subject to change. They may be like, no, we want your butts back in seats at the office. But since it is the senior workers who are most committed to this, downtown's really, this is not changing. We're not going back to pre-pandemic normal. This is the new reality of a hybrid office job worker life where you're partly at home, partly in the office. And the ramifications for this for downtowns are just indescribely massive. And for across the whole ecosystem, it's, all of the businesses that spring up around office culture life, the lunch spots and all the rest, the dry cleaners, like all the things that locate close to the office to be convenient for workers, have already been hit really hard. It's not going to change. And cities have got to come up with another plan to build out more housing, bring more people in for other parts of their life, because the office piece, it ain't coming back.
Yeah, anecdotally, again, Washington, D.C. had one of the biggest, like a boom in terms of the downtown culture, our businesses, lunch spots, happy hour bars, all the things that kind of pop up in a normal downtown that have nothing to do actually with office space. Well, all of those are mostly dead. Only the corporate chains are the ones that really survived, like the Starbuckses and a few lunch spots. But many of the little-owned businesses that even I used to frequent, honestly, they're gone. And it's very sad. Many of them were family-owned businesses that had been in the family for multiple generations. They were very proud of it. Some of the ones by the White House had some history even attached to them. And yeah, they're effectively empty now. I was actually just down there the other day, and I was walking around. It was like 1 o'clock, and I was like, I cannot believe that this is how empty it is. And I personally have so many memories of meeting people in coffee shops or whatever, a whole portion of my entire early career in these places. And that's why even whenever I hear about hybrid work, they're like, yeah, we come in 3 days a week. That's still a 40% drop in overall foot traffic. And that's for people who are coming in. So the metro system is not working as well. The downtown is not functioning as well. And a lot of that actually functioned financially on people coming in, not only 5 days a week, but in a DC, like a true workaholic culture, like being around there for the vast majority of their day. And it's changed completely, like geographic like moving patterns, traffic patterns. Rush hour is now 3 o'clock. Apparently, I want to put the memo out there. Apparently, that's how things work now. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on as a result of this.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.